Howdy everyone, Kenji here and it's nice to be back. I know it's been a while and I just want to welcome all our new subscribers here on Life of Clay. And also to all our friends who continuously supporting my channel. Thank you so much and I really miss you guys. Yes, it has been more than a year and today I can finally show you how I made this Devil's Flower Mantis sculpture. And if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell icon to see more of my videos in the future. Alright then, without further ado, come bring the clay on and let's begin. First, I draw a quite intricate sketch of this mantis so I may be more accurate about its details. Then, I proceed in making its armature by applying 2 parts epoxy on this stainless steel wire and bulking it up with aluminum foil. Let us now start sculpting its abdomen, and what I'm doing now is first pre-covering it with a sheet of clay and forming its basic shape as a foundation for the abdomen. And then I just cure it with heat gun. And after that, I apply liquid polymer clay all over it and cover it with a thin sheet of clay, and on it, all the final details will be added. This sculpture has lots of details, and because I want it to be semi-articulated, you might find this video quite lengthy, but I hope that you still stay with me up to the end of the process. Idolomantis is a monotypic genus of praying mantises in the family Empusidae. It contains the single species Idolomantis diabolica, commonly known as the Devil's Flower Mantis, which is the one I'm making now, and it is a male by the way. This mantis remains one of the largest of all the 2,400 known praying mantis varieties. Idolomantis is native to Ethiopia, Kenya, Malawi, Somalia, Tanzania, South Sudan, and Uganda. They display sexual dimorphism, or the systematic difference in form between individuals of different sex in the same species. For example, the largest females can grow to about 5 inches in length, however the smaller males only reach a length of about 4 inches. When confronted by a predator, Idolomantis diabolica initiates a dymatic display in an attempt to scare off or momentarily distract a predator. Its front legs, specifically the femora, are raised to expose the conspicuous patterns depicted on the bottom of the thorax and abdomen. Similarly, the wings display a combination of vibrant colors. Its threat display is magnificently colored, with red, white, blue, purple, and black. And in the presence of prey, Idolomantis diabolica, impersonating a flower, remains motionless, seducing the prey into its striking zone, grasping it strongly and munch it while still alive. The dietary preference of this mantis is exclusively airborne insects, specifically flies, moths, butterflies, and beetles. The lifespan of Idolomantis diabolica varies according to the habitat, but is typically about 12 months. Now I'm adding these tiny flops around its abdomen, which I made and cured off cam. Then I just apply liquid polymer clay and adding some pieces of clay to fill the gaps to ensure the strong bond. Next, adding its cerci, or the pairs of appendages at the end of the abdomen that we may see on many species of insect. And after that, I just bake it for 30 minutes at 135 degrees Celsius. Moving on, let us now sculpt its thorax. I first make a paper pattern and transfer it on this aluminum sheet and cut it out. Punch some holes on it and fix it on the main wire using wires. This aluminum sheet will be just a temporary support while sculpting its thorax since it is quite thin, and with this technique, sculpting it will become much easier and it is surely will keep its shape correctly. And as you can see, I also attach the wires for its raptorial forelegs in advance so they may have a strong anchorage to the main wire. Now let's cover it with a thin sheet of clay, shaping it and add all its details. And we can now cure it with heat gun. I can now pry the aluminum sheet off since its job was finished, and then grinding the underside of the thorax a little bit to even out its surface. And we can now proceed in sculpting the underside of the thorax, applying some liquid polymer clay on it and cover it with a thin sheet of clay, shaping it and add all the details. Working on its neck part here, I formed this tiny ball to its tip as the ball joint to connect the head, the same as those ball jointed toys we know. And then just cure it after this. Moving on, we can now sculpt its head. I just form a small piece of clay to the tip of this wire to make the foundation of its head and cure it. Now, applying liquid polymer clay and cover it with a thin sheet of clay, and I add all its details. These three tiny balls I'm adding here are the so-called ocelli, or the simple eye, a form of eye or an optical arrangement which has a single lens and are used by the mantis for detecting light sources. And after this, I just cure it and then drill the underside using a diamond ball tip bit to make a socket. Then, to narrow down the rim, I just add some clay around it, and to make sure the joints fit snugly, I attach it to its neck and shape it. And then, cure it. Now let's sculpt its antennae using this very thin wire, and I just cover it with a small strip of clay and make it pointy, adding some segments on it and cure it. Moving on, let us now sculpt its raptorial forelegs. The method I'm going to apply to this is the same as what I did on the thorax earlier. I just cut out the paper pattern of its coxa and transferred it onto this aluminum sheet and then cut it out. Then I just add a noodle of clay in the center horizontally and embed the coxa section of the wire in it. Then cure it. Resuming, I apply liquid polymer clay and cover it with a thin sheet of clay, shape it, and add details to it. After that, I pry out the aluminum sheet and do the other side. The same procedure is applied. Now let's sculpt the femur and tibia sections, which I just pre-cover first with clay and cure them to add hard foundation to them. Then I just proceed with finalizing their shape and add details by covering them with a thin sheet of clay. I made these tiny conical spines out of Cosclay translucent, and we are now going to add them to its inner femur. The same procedure will be applied to the tibia. Now the forelegs are ready for curing. Next is sculpting the legs. I just fashioned this stainless steel wire and cover it with a very thin strip of clay. Shape it and add all its details including the tarsus, tibia, femur, and coxa. In this part of the femur, I leave some opening for the flaps to be added right after curing. Then adding the upper and lower flaps, applying liquid polymer clay and some pieces of clay to blend them in. And here I'm also adding the flaps on its coxa. And there they are. Legs are now ready for curing. Moving on, let us now sculpt its set of wings, starting with the tucked wings. The same procedure is applied to what I did on the thorax. Then I just adhere this aluminum cutout to a wooden rod using epoxy, so I have something to hold on to while sculpting it. Then just cover it with a thin sheet of clay, shape it, and add details to it. Then proceed in curing it. Then I just pry it out and do the underside. Now it is ready. To final curing, it goes. Next is sculpting its tegmina or the pair of Mantis outer wings. Using the same aluminum sheet, I just lay a thin sheet of clay on it and shape it into two mirroring single wings. And after that, I just cured them and pried them out and did the other side. Same procedure as what we did on the tucked wings. And lastly, sculpting its flying wings or the hind wings, where I also did cut aluminum sheet patterns and then attach them to this wood handle. Cover them with a thin sheet of clay and shape them as thinly as possible and add grooves in a sunray pattern to them. After that, I just cure them and pry them out, grinding the other side to make them thinner and adding grooves as well. Then I just add wires to them to act as their holder and as a guide during molding. Yes, as I've done completing all these wings, I molded them into silicone off cam and I just cast them in resin. Sorry guys if I choose not to show you that part because it will make this video lengthier. So I hope you understand me by that. Now let us proceed to the painting stage. I first prime all the parts using gesso except for the resin wings. Then I started painting the abdomen. And since this process will take time, I just listed all the materials and all the paints I've used in the description box down below in this video. So feel free to check them out there. Please enjoy the painting process. And in this part, I'm attaching this tarsus of its raptorial arms, which I made off cam as well. And now, let's paint the resin wings. Compared to the tacked wings which I completely covered with paint, this tegmina coloration is along its coastal margin only, leaving the lateral field transparent. That's why I use resin to cast them, to make them more realistic. Then I use this white ink pen to make veins to the underside of the wings to add more realistic effect. Then I just brush them with a very thin coat of clear resin to reveal their clarity. And seal the other parts with satin polyurethane varnish. And now I'm adding these pairs of maxillary and labia pulps, which I also made of gum, and then painting them to blend in. And to finish the eyes, I also apply clear resin. And finally, we can now assemble it. I use cyanoacrylate glue to connect most of the parts except for the joints of all the articulated parts and including the wings. For its raptorial forelegs, I just thread in the sections accordingly to these awaiting wires. Now connecting the head to the neck and attaching the thorax to the body. I did this to the thorax so that I could turn it left and right. I used the soft type of stainless steel wire here, making its raptorial forelegs bend easily. And now attaching the wings. See, this is what I'm telling you guys about the wings, that I could display this mantis in two different ways. Now allow me to quickly show you how I made its base. Using this plyboard cutout, I just cover it with this foam clay. It is very light and can be softened with water and dry naturally. I just add some texture and form some small rocks using crumpled aluminum foil and then set it aside and let it dry for 2 days. And after that, I started painting it with different shades of colors. And then seal it with varnish and add this artificial moss and plants to it. And that's it. Our Devil's Flower Mantis is finally done. Hope you enjoyed this sculpting video, guys. And if you did, please give it a like, leave your comments, and kindly share this to all our friends out there. And please don't leave without subscribing to my channel if you wish to see more of my videos like this one. And also don't forget to click that notification bell icon, okay? I just wanted you guys to know that I truly appreciate your support and thank you for patiently waiting for me to come back and upload once again. Thank you so much for watching. See you!